I'm a hair mineral analysis expert. I have a background in functional medicine, and I educate people using HTMA testing to maximize health, erase debilitating symptoms, and gain energy. I'm a multi-time kettlebell sport world champion, and I'm constantly searching for high-performance pros from all over the world to bring you this human optimization podcast. My name is Lisa Pitel-Killah.
Welcome, everybody, to a brand new episode of the Human Optimization Podcast. And I feel like I almost need to change the name of this podcast because it's not all about humans anymore. Because today we're talking about canines, because I have a dog that I love, who's my son. And so does my special guest, Renee. She has two kids. Well, she does have two kids, but she's got two canine kids as well. So we are here to talk today about canine HTMA. So for those of you who follow me, you know that I am all about hair tissue mineral analysis. I believe it is the key to the life of longevity and good health. So Renee is with me today. She owns two locations in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, called Chew That. And I want her to introduce herself, tell you a little bit about her businesses and how long she's been doing what she's doing.
Well, thank you so much, Lisa. I am so excited to be here with you today. And hello, everyone. I am Renee Hamilton. And yes, as Lisa said, I own two amazing independently owned pet stores called Chew That here in Ottawa. And I just feel totally blessed to be the owner of these two stores. I have an amazing team that anyone can happily ask questions to each and every one of us, which is what I love. I've been in business now for 4 and a little bit years in Riverside South in Ottawa. And we just had our 1-year anniversary in my second location of Almont. Just this
a
past
year
week.
already. Oh my
I know, it's been a year already. So I'm super excited to say that because, you know, I was doing some accounting work and I thought, oh man, it's been a year. So very excited to have these two stores. So,
Amazing.
and as you said, Lisa, I have two-legged children and two four-legged children. And my four-legged children are actually hanging around me right now because when I get excited to do things, they like to be part of the action.
They're like, I'm right here. I'm right here. Don't miss me.
If you need me, if you need
Moral
me,
support.
just call.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have any treats?
Exactly. So yes, and we did the HTMA testing that we're going to talk about
We
with
did.
these two. So I'm super excited.
I know. And you know what?
Yeah.
So I've had a little bit of a chance to follow up with you just with regards to kind of what was happening. And I feel like a couple weeks ago now. And I really want to dive into, I'll give a little bit of background on HTMA because again, people watching this podcast, you probably heard me talk about HTMA for humans. It's very similar for canines, as we both have realized. And the movement in minerals, the mineral patterns, what they can accomplish, how they're feeling, it really resonates through. And the fact that we've been able to come up with some customized powder formulations for the canines, just like our humans, is incredible and very encouraging and just groundbreaking research. And so I'm so excited to see more and more of these hit the market for dogs because we've just seen so many great changes. So with HTMA, guys, we're always looking at mineral levels, right? And minerals aren't, they don't stand alone, right? They work synergistically, antagonistically. And so any of those changes will affect the functionality of the body. And that's really important to us, but it's also really important to our furry friends that we love so much. And so Renee's two guys have done the test. We have about 12 other dogs in beta testing. My dog has now done a test plus a retest, which I'm going to do a blog on. So that'll be on viconcanine.com. And you can read about that and look at those graphs, which are pretty incredible. I was super encouraged by the results that I saw. And so tell us, just with regards to, let's say how come you decided to go with HTMA? Like what was happening that you kind of went, I think that would be really an interesting test to dig into what's happening with my dogs.
Yes. Well, after you and I did my test and I learned so much about me and I've been watching my dogs and like you, I'm a close canine watcher. I watch everything my dogs eat. I watch everything activity that they do. I'm constantly that, if you want to call it now, that helicopter parent. I'm more that to my dogs than I've ever been to my kids. And so they've been going through a lot of stressful times because I'm just recently separated. So they've had to move homes. Like they've had to go through all that stressful change in their life too. And I'm a raw feeder. I'm also a veterinary chiropractor, so I know that they're healthy. I know that they're well, but they weren't showing me optimum health levels when I looked at them. I thought,
Mhm.
like my husky had Nova, he had a hard time or is having a hard time holding weight. And
Yes, you
huskies
mentioned that.
usually
Yeah.
have that really slow metabolism. And so, unlike a husky, which normally, as I'm sure so many have seen them out on the streets, are quite heavy, he was extremely lean. So that gave me that flag of I thought, I need to talk to Lisa because this is not normal. Like I'm thinking we need some testing on him. And then on my little girl, Jewel, who's a terrier cross, she has seasonal allergies
Yes.
and quite bad seasonal allergies. And as a store owner and working with nutrition in dogs, I see that all the time. And veterinary testing, which is very generic, food sensitivity testing, or what we're trying to do, and just not getting anywhere. So I did all that with Jewel as well, and I thought, no, there has to be more. We can dive deeper to try to find what's really going on in her body. So that's
Yeah.
what led me to the exciting
To the
yesterday.
to the HTMA test.
That's right.
And we talk about this all the time too, with regards to the cascade of events that happen when minerals are out of balance. And I just had a conversation with a client today, a human client, and it was with regards to symptoms, right? And the symptomatic issues that can arise when things are out of balance. And if you really don't get to the root cause of what's happening and change it, which I really am believing more and more and more is the underlying mineral balance and the toxicities and deficiencies that we're all dealing with at different points in time. And so we got their test results back, right? We saw some insufficiencies. We saw a little bit of toxicity. Same with my guy. We saw some insufficiencies, some toxicities. And so we created some formulas from Vicon that they started taking. So let's talk about now just progress, because they've been on their formulas now for, I feel like, 3 weeks?
Now
3
I think
weeks?
we're 3 weeks. Yeah, 3 weeks now. Jewel has done phenomenally well. Right off the hop, she took to her supplements. I have noticed a huge change in her energy level, her playfulness, really.
Yeah,
Like she feel like I see her coming back to life.
that's
This
amazing.
fall, seasonal allergies are horrendous. They're
Mhm.
horrendous for so many of the canines that are out there. But I'm noticing it's better for her. I think we're going to take more than 3 weeks to get her
Yeah, yeah,
system,
yeah.
completely balanced and being able to support her. So I'm pleased with what I'm seeing with her. Like I'm
Great.
seeing a change, sorry, and she's just she's older, like meaning older than the two. She's 6 years old,
Mhm.
but she's back to like play with me and encouraging Nova instead of no, don't talk to me, don't like I'm a grumpy little girl. She's wanting to
That's
do her
amazing.
thing.
Yep.
So Nova, I think we found a little bit more toxicities in Nova and depletion in his adrenal glands. So
Yes. And some
was
elevated
more,
iron, right? We had the elevation in
that's right.
iron, which has some digestive issues with him as well. Yes.
Yeah, so he took a little bit more time. We had to go a little bit slower with his supplements
Hmm.
because his body, he was getting rid of, I guess, his toxins
Purging.
and his digestion was
Yeah.
off. Yes, so he was purging and his digestion was off. So we slowed him down. So I would say he's still at the 3 weeks mark, but to do the full regiment, he's just sort of starting back
Yeah.
to that now
Hmm.
because he actually even blew his coat. Like his whole
Oh, I
body was
remember
saying,
you
let's
saying
go
that.
home.
Yes. He started. Yes. Wow.
So something I wasn't expecting to see, because stool and all that is impeccable, beautiful. He's eating well, he's happy, he's playing, his energy levels are great, but his body was letting me know that he was getting rid of stuff. So
Yeah.
excessively drinking and purging hair like crazy. And all husky people know that they shed, but my goodness, this was beyond shedding.
Oh, wow. Wow.
But all that's calming down, and he's doing phenomenally. Both of them, their weights coming, his weight's coming up, Jules' weight
That's
has come
awesome.
up a little bit, and I know we're on the right track, and that's what makes me so happy.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, we've got so many dogs in beta tests now, and it's always important for us to do those tests just to see, if the formulations that we're basing things on are actually going to work, right? And I think that's where I had a podcast with one of my human clients, Caroline, and she had a really good point. And she's like, being able to quantify what's happening in your body when you feel it, but you see it on paper,
Yeah.
and it's real. And so that's why I was so excited, because literally right before we got on this podcast, I got back my retest for my little guy. And so I'll share a little bit about that. And that was with regards to he was lethargic. He always seemed really tired. He's 11 and a half, so he's a senior dog now, and he was starting to lose his hearing, right? And he always had tons and tons of gut issues. And so every time I went to the vet, they would tell me he had Clostridia, and that, we put him on an antibiotic for 10 days or whatever, and then he'd go on a probiotic for, a month. And it just seemed like a vicious cycle. It was constant. And I couldn't figure out, like, his diet hadn't changed. I just couldn't fix it. And so that's what brought me down this whole road to begin with, because I was like, I started digging more into HTMA and looking at the canines, because I've been doing HTMA on humans for years and helped so many people. And then I'm like, I have this at my disposal, so what am I waiting for, right? Because there's something to be said for all of this. And so with regards to him, I didn't really change his diet, but I did add our probiotic, which really helped. So he literally hasn't had a diarrhea episode since that, and that was started in June, and it's now September. So that is, to me, that's a win right there. I was like, hands down, I'm in, right? And so, so his retest, interestingly enough, my husband and I knew he was feeling better. He just had a ton more energy. And again, kind of like what you said, he's playful. Like, he wants to go for 4 walks every day, and he wants to like run down the driveway and chase squirrels. And before he was like, I'm just gonna sleep. Right? And we're just like, wow. Like, my husband's like, you got to stop giving this dog crack. Like, what are you putting in his food? Cause he's crazy. Yeah. It's like, but and then, again, going back to what Caroline said with that quantifiable data, that's what I got today. And that's what really, now I'm super encouraged, because just what I've seen with regards to the increase in his adrenal function, the increase in his indices for performance, because on the canine reports, they have an indices for performance, which relates to endurance and speed. His speed went from basically nothing to like halfway up the chart. Like, I can't believe it. And so I'm so pumped about this, because I think it's just, I can't imagine it. It's the same with humans. We see a lot in the media. We go to the store, we're like, oh, I should be taking this, I should be taking that, I should be taking this. But what do you really need? Like, what's going on inside you? Because you and I are totally different. Me and someone who's listening or watching is totally different. And so dogs are just the same, right? Mm-hmm. They're all different too. And so, if we really want to support their little bodies so that they can live as long and healthy as possible, then I think this is the key to being able to unlock that blueprint you need for that journey. And so I mean, and super excited to be able to offer it. So I want to talk a little bit about Chew That. Like, we've now got the testing available exclusively at Chew That, which is super exciting. Yeah. And so, and I mean, we did a launch last week, 2 weeks ago almost now. And so many pet owners, right, coming in, questions and doing tests, and they're just so excited. I can't wait to get those test results back so that we can chat about them.
Yes, I am so excited about that as well, because we're getting those daily questions, and the people coming in and saying, okay, well, what's this pamphlet, and then asking the questions, and it's so amazing. And it's something that you've said on a podcast or on a live set that you did just the other day, and you said, I love to know what my body needs, not what I think my body needs.
Right.
And that just hit me so hard, because that's exactly what I want to do for me, for my 2-legged kids, for my 4-legged kids. Is I don't want to guess. Yeah. Guessing is for the birds. I want to be able to say to my customers and say to my family, I know what you need, and what you need is this, so that you get the best optimal health and the best chances of feeling and living well. And
Yeah.
that's what I just think is so amazing. So being exclusive in Chew That is just, I thank you for this opportunity because I so believe in this wholeheartedly. And
Yeah.
yeah, and we're offering it at 2 locations, and customers are coming in, and they can come in and purchase the kit. You've made it so easy for us to work with you and work with Vicon and say, like, here is your kit. These are the instructions, and we're equipped to answer those questions. But then I know that I can also send them to you and your team to get those questions answered if we can't do it well enough.
Absolutely.
And it's just the support between the two of us is just amazing, and our customers are extremely happy. So I can't wait to get it into even more hands. Because those ones that were racking our brains and trying to figure out how can I help, well, now I'm like, I'm not racking my brain anymore. This is it. You need an HTMA test.
We have the answer. We have the answer for you. We have the answer that's going to hopefully give you an answer.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what's so exciting. Like, that is.
Yeah.
Super.
Well, and you know, I feel like for me, again, my little guy was my whole journey, right? As he was aging. And so when I started down that rabbit hole, and I feel like every day I'm just going from rabbit hole to rabbit hole because I do so much research now, right? And so it's like, oh, I can't go down there. Oh, but I'm going. And then it's like, I get to the next one. I'm like, oh, I got to do it. And so even creating formulas, it's like down a rabbit hole for this, and then the next, and then how much and whatever. So I'm super excited. But the interesting thing when I started down that rabbit hole of research, especially when TC was, going through everything he was going through, again, the major part was his gut. But what I figured out, because earlier this year we had a problem in the springtime, and my husband was having an issue with him when he was outside, and we live in the country, so I mean, a lot of times, we'll take him down the driveway. He's not on the leash. He's a little guy, and and he doesn't go too far, but he wasn't listening to Troy. And so he was super frustrated. And so I went for a walk with him the one day, and he just seemed off. And so it was interesting. And I was like, huh. And I'm like, do you think he can hear you? Because I kind of felt like he was, getting to that point where he couldn't hear us. And that's why he wasn't listening, because he literally couldn't hear that he was talking to him.
What you were saying, right?
Exactly. So anyways, after that, when I went to the vet, I did get them to do, just check it out. And they said, yeah, he's losing his, the normal kind of voice decibel, right? The first one that seems to go. And I thought, I know he's 11 and a half, but if he's going to live to 17, 18 years old or whatever it might be, because he's a Chihuahua and they live quite long lives. And I said, I don't want to spend another 6 years being deaf, right? And so when I went down that rabbit hole that day, I ended up finding documented studies with regards to toxicities and premature hearing loss in dogs. And I was like, oh, it's like my brain exploded. I was like, oh my goodness, what is happening, right? And I almost couldn't believe it. I was just like, what? So, and and I don't want to seem like, yeah, everything's awesome, but we both, Troy and I both have said to each other, I feel like his hearing is actually improving. And so, and you just saw this before we got on here, one of the things that's happening. So he had really high cadmium, which is starting to come down. He had really high arsenic, was starting to come down, and he's dumping boatloads of mercury. So all of those things, if he starts to detoxify all those things, that's just going to help the functionality of his body, just like us, right? And so that's really encouraging.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm super excited to kind of hear, I hope you guys have questions. So if you're on YouTube, make sure you leave a comment if you have questions. We'll be doing a webinar with regards to HTMA for canines, so that you know a little bit more about it and you can see some of the diagrams. And again, if you're in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, then you can head over to Chew That on Riverside or in Almont. Talk to Renee, talk to her great group of people who run her stores, and super knowledgeable and just love to help. And I think that that's really powerful. Like they just really care about your pet. And that's not everywhere. So that's one of the reasons why we paired up. I love supporting local, and we always want to make sure that the integrity and professionalism for all of our businesses is respected, and that's why we chose True That, because they are right up there, and one of the best of the best. So yeah,
Thank you
so
for that.
Canine HTMA, right? Who knew? Who knew?
Right. We do now.
Yeah, exactly. So we've been about 3 weeks now. So I'm going to invite Renee back. She's going to come back and do either a webinar or podcast with me. And probably I want to wait for about 6 weeks. Okay. And we want an update. I think by then, retests and updates so that we can share a screen and show some of the results. I think will be incredible, because I am so excited to hear what's going to happen next with regards to the detoxification of your husky. That was a really big one too, because even his fur changed, didn't you, right? Not just the shedding, but the feel.
The feel of it completely changed before he blew it. So it went like, he is a very soft husky, like he really does. But yes, that's right. I totally forgot. It went very coarse, very different texture before he blew that one out. And now he's just turning into this like silky, suave Nova again.
Wow.
Nova again.
That's incredible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Huh. Completely
Incredible.
changed.
Yeah. That's yeah.
So I can't wait for him.
Yeah, I'm excited to see his results for sure. And it's so interesting as well as we touch on certain things with regards to how I can relate it to even just like my own personal experience or with some of my human clients. Is, somebody asked me the other day, oh, when's the last time you got your hair done or whatever? I'm like, oh, you don't even want to know when the last time it was I got my hair cut. And they're like, well, what about dyeing your hair? You don't dye your hair? I'm like, no, because I stopped dyeing my hair like, oh my gosh, it's got to be at least 2 years ago that I got my hair dyed. And I mean, I do it for purposes of just like, the dye and some issues and stuff like that, but I don't have any gray hair. But I did before that, right? And then as soon as I started balancing, right, working on minerals and really supporting the body and then changing, and it was just like, oh my goodness, I didn't even realize I don't have any gray hair. I'm not complaining. I'm so not complaining. But it just shows you when things start to balance that everything kind of just slows down, right? Because we have to remember when our bodies have insufficiencies, and I always relate back to zinc because it's an easy one and everybody knows zinc, right, as an immune booster, and it's so important. But so when the body's lacking something like zinc, so it's not just toxicities that we might be dealing with, it might be dealing with something that your body's lacking. And so when you look at the periodic table and you see things in the same column, that means they're chemically similar. So for example, if we are zinc deficient, right, and we have an excess of cadmium or mercury, which are in that column, then our body is going to sequester those toxic elements because it doesn't have enough of the mineral. Because they're so chemically similar, they can almost do the same job, right? So we're actually accelerating the aging process because we're zinc deficient or because we're sequestering toxic metals. So we have to think about that too, how much that affects our health. And that's, again, not just for us, for our dogs too, so.
Yeah. It's amazing to see it all, like you said, on paper.
Yes.
We can talk about it and people can believe us, but when you see it on paper and you see the changes like what you shared with TC, it's mine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the testing doesn't lie. It's like we are going down the right path. I knew he was feeling better. And now I have proof.
Yes.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Renee, for joining and sharing. And again, we do need to do a follow-up because I want to be able to screen share so that people can see the test results, can see the difference with regards to that kind of 3-month window. I think that's so important and so powerful to be able to quantify what's happening in our dogs and actually seeing that they have more energy and that their adrenal system's functioning better or their thyroid's functioning better or whatever they're dealing with. That is really, really encouraging and super just just warms my heart because I just want to see our little furry friends live a long, happy life as long as possible.
Yes, thank you so much for having me here because I agree. I just want to reiterate exactly what you said. Like, these guys are part of the family, and we want them to live as long as possible and as healthfully as possible, or as well as possible. And I just think this is such an amazing tool that we can help them do that. And that's what we all want. We all want them to be living their best lives. So to be able to offer that is amazing. And I so appreciate you, and I appreciate being here today. It was lots of fun.
Good. Oh, it's always fun. I always love having chats. And you know what? If we can educate people and we can introduce something to people that they can, if they've been on that wheel like I was, where, right, back to the vet, back on antibiotics, that hamster wheel was getting very frustrating. I think that is a really powerful option for them to be able to hopefully finally seek the root cause of what they're going through.
So many customers are going through, like, you are not alone. So many people are going through that exact same battle of constantly over and over. So yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. If you're watching on YouTube, give us a like, leave a comment, leave a question. I'll make sure to get back to you. And if I can't answer it, I will make sure Renee does. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast host, give us a like, follow us. We have a brand new episode every 2 weeks. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to today's show. Head over to LisaPitel-Killah.com to gain access to some amazing free resources that will help you gain energy, erase debilitating symptoms, and be the best version of you. Remember to give this podcast a like and follow me on social media at Lisa Pitel-Killah. I'm here every 2 weeks with a brand new episode of the Human Optimization Podcast. Until next time.